Greetings, everybody. Today, first and foremost, we're going to celebrate the life of a great, great man, Nelson Mandela. Today would have been his birthday. This great man came to help awareness to people who didn't realize a lot of wrongs that had happened. So we celebrate the existence of Nelson Mandela. Thank you, Mr. Mandela. Like we celebrate the existence of Dr. Martin Luther King, and today the great Congressman John Lewis departed, and we think of him acknowledging his gift to us all. Thanks be to the Creator. So this is one more occasion. Turn it up, sweets. Up, yes. I just gave a little request to my dear Katerina, who has been what you call an amazing co-pilot all the time. She's playing a recording I made recently that I did something I'd never done over 75 albums I've made. Actually, a couple times, little here, little there. I made an album of songs with a decidedly Jamaican rhythm. Roots of Jamaica. This is The Nearness of You with my friend, the late great Roy Hargrove on the trumpet. Right. The Nearness of You. No.
Up or down?
Up. I'm going over there. So yes, I did this recording a few years ago before I got a little sick. A little sickness came my way, and I invited Roy to come play the Christopher, and this is, and certainly he did, and he blessed it with some of his Roy notes. Heavenly beautiful notes. Thank you, Roy. Thinking of you. The nearest of you. We're gonna play some more of it during the program, right? So now we can.
Now you want to know.
Okay. So today, of course, so many thoughts to share. And I have been enjoying talking. I never realized it would catch a fire, as we say. So that I would want to go back and do it the second week and the third week. And now it's this is the 16th episode. I can't believe it. Because it seems like my remembrances and reflections of past experiences, anecdotes and incidents, and I call them survivals from situations. I could go on and on. Because, you know, I did not spend my lifetime worshiping music. I was just living life, and the music came to me. It was a gift. It still is a gift. I hope I keep getting the gift, because when I share the gift, it seems to be a wonderful experience for other people, especially myself, you know? So this is a time when I'm thinking about a meaningful conversation. It's easy to talk lighthearted and trivial, and then it's challenging to go deeper, because we all have deep experiences in our lives. And believe you me, folks, I've had a few, right? And I want to talk about the dreams I had as a kid. And I had powerful dreams about a future coming from my humble environment in Kingston, Jamaica, when you're not thinking far beyond the shores of Jamaica. You're thinking about what you would see in the movies, these foreign lands, whether they were in the United States, whether they were the great city of New York, where we are, or out west where the cowboys rode the horses, or in England with the sword fighters, or all this, you see it in the movies. And then I would hear the music, so I was always dreaming. And you know what? A lot of those dreams became realities. And the problem for me is that those dreams were so wonderful and so fascinating and so exciting that they're still dreams. So I could never accept that they were realities because they were like a dream. So now that the dreams have come and gone and still go to some extent, I don't, I have never shared them with people. A lot of the incredible experiences and going through some rough times, going through some dangerous situations, and the piano playing is just over there. But it's very important because it's like medicine, you know. I take a medicinal what you call tonic when I play the piano. So it's over there, but yet it's central to my life. But all this other stuff is happening. I mean, I'm around gangsters. I'm around these ladies of the night, these temptations that normally people succumb, and then it's all over. You know, hear about them after the age of 19 and 25 and 30 and gone. What happened to Joe Brown? Gone, baby. So Monty's still here, causing a little bit of trouble. Hopefully good trouble, right? So I remember being in Miami and I met some great guys, wonderful people, enjoying life. 90% of them was smoking the reefer. You know what reefer is? Reefer, this thing, you smoke it, and next thing you know, your head get fuzzy, it get cloudy. A lot of people say, oh man, this is great. A lot of people, so yes, a couple of guys convinced me, hey man, you got to smoke some of this stuff. It's going to put hair on your chest. I didn't know, so I was a naive kid. Next thing you know, I smoked this thing, and I couldn't walk. I couldn't talk. I couldn't, you know? And I realized this was what my mother told me, what I heard the preacher say, don't smoke the weed, because if you smoke the weed, you get stupid. Now, of course, some other people smoked the weed, and it was a thrilling, wonderful revelation. Them opened up the vistas of possibilities, and next thing you know, them compose music, them paint picture, them write book. Not me, because I remember being in Miami Beach, Florida, after one of these guys said, hey man, just put hair in your chest. And I said, really? And I smoked the thing. And I remember trying to walk down the street, and I'm walking around, and I remember saying, if I do this again and again, my life finish. That's right. So I learned from an early age that that's not going to be for me. And throughout my next years, I saw so many people that I loved to be with, great musicians, succumbing to this version. So they had a thing in those days called, well, the hashish was a popular thing. The marijuana was a popular thing. I had a friend, he would go down to meet the boat at the Miami dock. And because that boat was coming from Panama, and on that boat was some guys bringing Panama Red. This is that dangerous version that you're going like this. Hey man, groovy, you know? And I saw that. Then I saw when some of them start getting high, they would add to the high by taking something. It was a medicinal thing when people had a heart issue. It was called amyl nitrate. They pop the thing, sniff it, and the next thing you know, curtains. So I'm doing an awareness thing about the dangers of drugs right now. And I was spared, praise the Lord, because I listened to the wise people that said, you don't want to do that. I remember once being at a place where the musicians were jamming and I got up on the piano, and it had happened again. Yes, indeed, Monty made the mistake of putting some hair in his chest, right? And the guy counted off the tempo for the song, and it was like I was in a like in rubber. Couldn't make sense. I said this will never happen again, and that's what was the case. So I had what you call good warnings from wisdom that said, if you want to have a good life, don't do that. And one of the good things that has happened in these last couple of decades, because of I call them the entrance of the schooled people who are schooled people who want to teach the world about how you do this and how you do that, which is what I never had. I was a school of the evader. I avoided it because I was learning from the breeze and all that. Is that they have discipline, and the discipline went into personal habits, which convince young people don't do drugs. So I'm one of these crusaders to say to everybody, if you don't have to do that, maybe medicinally some people have to do it, don't go near all those things. And I saw people I saw this guy, I never forget, we called him Magic. Magic, played music on the organ, was a beautiful guy, and I saw the needle going in the arm. Just like when I saw the movie with Frank Sinatra, The Man with the Golden Arm. So Monty Alexander usually talking light-hearted frivolity, fun and games, but this I remembered as I think on my history and the past, the dangers of intoxicants. So that's the end of the heavy speech, and I shall now go into an area that says life is beautiful. And in my early days of Jamaica, I have to tell you, I couldn't believe it when this one of my dreams becomes a reality. And I must have been about 16 years old, and I had this band of friends at musicians at the school I went to. And we started playing the little tunes that we heard, Little Richard and Chuck Berry and the Everly Brothers and Elvis Presley, Fats Domino. You know, we're playing these songs, and we recorded them and made it our versions. And the little band was called Monty and the Cyclones. And I want to show you something that's now a relic of the past. It was called a 45. You had to get the record player that specialized in the 45. And I found this a couple days ago, and this is one of my early records, maybe from 1958, 59. It's called Lazy Lou. Is it visible?
Yeah, right there it is.
And it is Monty and the Cyclones playing Lazy Lou, and there were a bunch of them. I recorded with my friends Teddy Smith, Neville Anderson, Derek Gordon. I remember the guys from Jamaica College. It was Monty and the Cyclones. The records got on the hit parade. So now I was a bona fide recording artist in Kingston, Jamaica. And there I was, having no idea that not long after that, my mother would say to us, "We're going to America." I said, "Wow, I can't believe it. You mean that place that I see in the movies?" And that's what happened. We went to Miami, which is where all this extra challenge came with the beautiful people I met in Miami, doing things that were, let's call it, compromising to their betterment, to their health, to their mental welfare. And I was spared, because while I was around those guys, there were some beautiful people, even those that were doing that were saying to me, "Monty, you don't want to touch this. You don't want to know what this is." So we advise you now, and I think of them, I can go down the list of names, how grateful I am that they influenced me in that way to say, "Be well, Monty, be smart." And my heroes, by the way, the real heroes I had were the people who did not involved in that. My great heroes, I love the boxers. I've spoken about this before. Muhammad Ali, not chief among them, because he exemplified good health and good thinking, a man of great spiritual content, a man of joyful demeanor. He would play with the children, the old people, and contribute to them in a quiet way. You never knew he was of that nature. So he became a real hero for me. And I used to say that if Ali had played the piano, he would have been number one on the list, or one of the number ones. There were a bunch of them, you know. But I love the piano players that played the instrument, you know. Some of the first piano playing I heard was guys who just played the piano. It wasn't just the notes on the right hand and a little accompaniment, you know. And I like what we used to call semi-classical. Here's a theme from a movie. That was called An Affair to Remember. And I had no idea what I just did. But I'm one of these guys, you put the hands on the piano notes, and that note tell you to play that next note, which is what I did. So I just recalled my memories of hearing Rachmaninoff a little bit, and Errol Garner a little bit, and some of this and some of that. So this was some of that version of a piano piece called Affair to Remember. Thank you for listening. Hope you didn't turn off. No, recordings. So I come to America, and it's 1964, and I meet this wonderful, beautiful character of characters, a piano player named Les McCann. Let me tell you something. I don't know if you can see. That's my very first album, over there.
Oh, no.
Les McCann.
You're in front of it.
I am. This is 1965. I remember it distinctly, and I was playing at the Playboy Club in Los Angeles, and I ended up, because of Les McCann, who was the rockinest piano playing character you ever saw in your life. He'd swing the joint. The music go out into the street and people be dancing. Les McCann. And he was one of my heroes because of that very aspect of his playing, which is not unlike Jamaican, dancing in the rhythms and so on. And I was playing at the Playboy Club, and walking back to the hotel, I saw the sign. The newspaper was in the newspaper machine. You put 25 cents in, and you got the Los Angeles Times, and the headline said, Nat King Cole, deceased. That was just when Nat passed. That was my hero of heroes, with music, with singing, with presence, with grace, with elegance, everything about Nat. And just now you heard something when we played a vocal version of The Nearness of You. Guess who's singing? Monty Alexander. I said, why not? I remember singing a little song in a nightclub once, and our heroine of singers, one of the greats, Carmen McRae, who, by the way, was a Jamaican woman. Her parents were from Jamaica. And the people liked the music, I like to think. And I got off the bandstand, and I walked over to Miss Carmen, and I said, how are you, Carmen? It's so nice to see you. And she just looked at me and said, don't stop singing. I said, what? Miss Carmen did not know that Monty Alexander likes to forget words. I mean, I'm doing pretty good with words right now, right? But when it comes to remembering lyrics, I tend to want to forget them. And that was something that all the great singers, they figure out how to remember words. Sinatra, I heard, he said, I read that song, that new song, 50 times before I went to sleep at night. And I never had the discipline to do that, right? So anyhow, that was Nearness of You with Roy Hargrove. We're going to play a few more tracks from this upcoming recording I did, singing those songs where I remember Nat, but also Bing Crosby, also Tony Bennett, also Vic Damone, also Perry Como. These standard songs that came up in the late 40s, the 50s, 60s, and they're the great survival songs, because you don't hear songs with harmony and melody designed to give you the goosebump and dreams and imaginations. You don't really hear that. You hear shake it up, boog it up, bop it up, and all that. That's great. But little attention to the heart and to the spirit, yeah, and that's what I grew up thankfully hearing and enjoying. So these songs exemplify that. I hope I didn't mess them up, but to vocalize these songs, and I'm now I'll go back to that in a minute, but right now, after the 77 albums I've made, and this is just a small version of them on the wall, and I can't believe it. That's why when I look at that, these were dreams that came true, and to me they're still dreams, so I can't talk about them like they're realities. I don't go around to tell people that, Miles Davis said to me he wanted to produce one of my albums. A very true story, but I feel it was a dream that somebody like that would say that to me, because I basically had no confidence. But then as the time went by, the confidence came. And I didn't quite say, I'm the greatest, but darn it, folks, I was about the greatest piano player I knew at the time. Me. I can't understand it, but I was pretty good. Still am, somewhat. So the other day, I had this idea that I would talk about these different recording sessions, albums that I made, so many of them, that recalled what the circumstances of the album and what happened, how it happened, who played on the record with me, what songs we played, how come, so we did that. And I went into my album of where so many records, and I picked out two So Katarina
First
is
pick.
passing me the
The
cover
first pick.
of one of them, and this was
First
the
one.
title of one of the pieces I played, which I adapted a version of the main melody of this piece of music called the Concierto de Aranjuez. I said, what does that mean? Well, it was a concert of Aranjuez, which is a place in Spain, the country of Spain, and a composer by the name of Joaquin, first name, Rodrigo. Okay? And he wrote this beautiful, beautiful composition known as Concierto de Aranjuez in several movements. And I had heard a version of it by none other than Mr. Miles Davis. He did a beautiful recording on an album called Sketches of Spain, where the orchestrator was Gil Evans. And I was inspired. And I had a wonderful drummer. This was the swinginest drummer in town, let me tell you. Bobby Durham. Now, Bobby Durham from North Philadelphia, ex-Marine, a very, very tough individual in terms of Bobby liked to fight. If somebody said the wrong thing, Bobby go to fisticuffs right away. He liked to sing. He had a beautiful voice, and he played drums. That when he played that rhythm, he'd come out the gate like a racehorse with the tempo, not rushing, but be swinging, right? And Eugene Wright, the wonderful late down bass player who had spent many years with the great Dave Brubeck, Eugene Wright, we call him the senator affectionately because he was always being so senatorial and gracious to everybody. And you would call young people, says, I'm your godfather. You know, you had to love this man. And he gave me so much ideas about being wiser rather than foolish. So the senator and Bobby Durham, and it was like two different individuals miles apart because there was a streetwise Durham, whereas Senator was this dignified version of street because he was a street brother. He's very much like Duke Ellington, who brought his genius in to be the man of all the people, whether you were down home folks, less than fortunate folks, or the presidents, the prime ministers, the lords, the kings, the counts, all that. Duke was that, and Senator was very much like that. So I remember sitting in a pool room with these two men playing pool, and Durham is hitting them. He's hitting those balls into the corner pocket and that pocket, and say, all right, Senator, check this out. He go bang, 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 right to ball, and then Senator would grab the pool, say, all right, Durham, let me show it. Let me have a shot. And Senator go, bap, bap. 5 balls in 5 different pockets. Don't ask me why. But to see those two men together, I would be just, and we take that on the bandstand. So I made these recordings with these two men, and believe you me, the record player, it was jumping, the music was swinging so hard, and I'm burning, and Durham is burning, and Senator is burning. We made 2 albums live, and then we went to the recording studio at RCA Victor. And they tried to make it into a session where the audience is in the studio and everything is controlled with the microphones and everything. And the piano is in tune. It's not like in the bar where the guy spilled the whiskey into the strings of the piano, as has happened so many times, and even in my case, yes. So we made Concierto de Aranjuez, and we played Ben, which was a big hit recording for Michael Jackson, the young Michael, before he met Quincy, you know. And then I do a version of the Battle Hymn of the Republic. I play For All We Know, We May Never Meet Again. Then we play Shaft, you know. That's it. Shaft. That was it. But this album was good. It came out fine. And on Ben, Bobby Durham fell in love with a little Celeste. Small vibraphone, but it was a Celeste. You had to take a mallet to play the notes, and it was. That's all he had to do. And I would go from there, I would make this music, right? And Durham had to take it twice because Durham would Durham would say, he started cussing. I said, Durham, cool it, man. You got it. And you give him a little encouragement, then he would get it. So on that record is Bobby Durham playing the Celeste, and it's a good record. I'm pleased with that.
Right?
That was on MPS, which is the label that gave me the opportunity, because none other than Oscar Peterson, the giant of the piano, told them, invited them to consider recording me, and I ended up doing 10, maybe 9 albums for MPS because of Oscar, who was, besides the giant of the piano, for me, he was a kind, generous man. So
That was in Germany, you recorded?
and that was in the Black Forest in Germany, right near Stuttgart, up in Villingen in the Black Forest. My first time to Europe, and I invited my friend, the great Ernest Ranglin, to keep my company. Not so much to go play the great music, because that came without saying. We're going to play the great music, but that we are going to record. And while all the German people are talking among themselves that language we don't understand, Ernie and I can be in the back. So yeah, Ernie, what happened, man? What are you going to do with this thing? How are we going to do this? And we will have our little friendly thing. And Ernie, my dear friend, who I spoke to not so long ago, he's in Jamaica. He's doing well at the young age of 88. And Ernie, who has blazed a trail of incredible music, one of the great guitar players of the world, Ernest Ranglin. And I must say, he didn't play the piano, but like I said about Ali and the way he boxed, the way Ernie played the guitar, he'd play anything on the guitar. He'd play something sound like a bird singing. He played the truck backfiring. He would play music and a smile all the time.
Did it have a different title?
What?
This album?
Yes, well, this album was its own title, as far as I can recall. I don't remember. But there was another one we did, and I picked that out among the records. And this one is MPS.
Another one.
And this is actually a photograph from another record, which was We've Only Just Begun. That was Karen Carpenter of the Carpenters sang that it was a hit, and I like to take the hits when I like them, you know, the harmonies and the chords, and I would record them, as I did several songs that were popular, not called jazz. I always had a problem with this category called jazz, because when does it become jazz and when it's just a song? Because, you know, all the artists I know, Stanley Turrentine, I mean, John Coltrane recorded My Favorite Things, which came from The Sound of Music. You know, that beautiful movie, you know, the hills are alive with the sound of music, right? And then there's My Favorite Things, and Train did what you going to say, stop traffic. That's how amazing that interpretation was. So, Here Comes the Sun was another studio, the first record I made for MPS. But they used this photo. Yeah, check out this fool. That's Monty without the beard.
Woohoo!
Way back when. Yes. Yes, and I was trying to attract certain ladies at the time. Don't ask me why, it's part of nature, right? And there's Eugene Wright over here. And this awesome, talented 16-year-old kid at the time, Duffy Jackson. His father was Chubby Jackson, who played bass with Woody Herman and drove that band swinging it hard. Bob Cranshaw told me one of his heroes of the bass was Ray Brown, and Israel Crosby, the great bassist that played with Ahmad Jamal, and also his hero was, I forgot what I was going to say, Eugene Wright. Did I say that right?
I don't know.
I forgot what I was going to tell you. I had a blank. I just had a little coffee, folks, that's why. So, all right. Duffy, yeah, well, back to it. Cranshaw told me that Chubby Jackson, Duffy's father, was one of his 3 favorite bass players because he brought the swinging element to the music. Sorry, I had a blank in there. That happens. So, Here Comes the Sun was that album, and it was played a lot. The same cover in a different way was used on the We've Only Just Become.
That's the first time you recorded Summer of 42?
Summer of 42 is not on this record.
Oh,
But the Summer of 42 was an amazing incident. I was playing it at Blues Alley, a place that I still visit every so often when they invite me. Blues Alley in Washington, D.C. in Georgetown. And I was playing there, and I was loving this song. Let's see if I can remember it. And I used to have the intro, and it goes... anyhow, I'm playing Summer of 42, and none other than Frank Sinatra came into the club and his friends, and he was sitting there in the right where you go up the stairs in Blues Alley, and he's listening. And of course, very flattering when a great artist sits there and listens to your music, and you know he's listening, and you're appreciating it. The audience is pretty good, except for one table that was going on with their conversation. It's a small club. You can hear a pin drop when you do quiet music. And I was in my quiet zone in the Senator Eugene Wright and Bobby Durham, and I'm playing Summer of 42, and Sinatra's listening. I looked over and there's listening, and all of a sudden, this is all I heard, because the people were talking in the corner. Apparently he wanted to hear it, and he said, "Shut up!" Yes, Sinatra spoke up and he said, "Shut up!" And the whole place got quiet, and it went like this, because Frank, he wasn't much taller than Monty Alexander, but let me tell you, he carried a big stick of influence, and Mr. Frank Sinatra was quite a guy. These men of small stature, you got Bob Marley, small stature. You have Miles Davis, small stature. I could go on. Of course, there was a guy named Napoleon, right? But he tried to rule the world. Won't go there. So that's 2 recordings I did in 1972. Yeah, because this first one was 65. Alexander the Great, because of Les McCann, and I'd made these others. And then the first one for MPS, when I played Here Comes the Sun. Then the second one was We've Only Just Begun, and these were both Bobby Durham and Eugene Wright. And that set me going, and I'm playing all over the nightclubs in America, jazz clubs in Detroit, in Chicago, in Dayton, Ohio, in Los Angeles, in San Francisco. I'm all over the place. That was another era. That's before, and I hope this never comes off as a negative, but that's before the advent of the scholarly people who were adept at describing what jazz was. Now I come from a world where you don't even know what jazz. You're just playing this music. We don't stop and think about this is jazz, this kind of jazz. People just played what they felt. But you had these different categories. You had the progressive, you had the bebop, you had the avant-garde, then came the pop guys who brought their smooth jazz, which was lovely, fine. But I heard, thankfully, the musicians when they were what I sense as being honest, straightforward, and celebrating the joy of being together and doing in a friendly way, outdoing each other in a good way when they were playing. So to me, that was the era, 60s. I got the tail end of it from 1962, 60 up until 1970, and all these jazz clubs, and most of them I played at were places where there were African American clientele, 90%. That's the way it was.
How did you meet Bobby Durham? You remember?
I met Durham. I was playing at Gillies, and up the street was Birdland, and Birdland, the original Birdland, which is where the greats performed, including Billie Holiday, including Charlie Parker, everybody. On the intermission of a half an hour break, I would run up there and go downstairs to where the music was coming. Like I said, everybody was playing there, and for a while there was a band performing, and it was conducted by Slide Hampton, the great trombone player. And the drummer was Bobby Durham. And the way he was playing reminded me of Art Blakey from the standpoint of driving the band. He wasn't just playing colorful pitter-patter and marvelous this and that. He came in there with a drive, which is a part of when jazz, as we know it, as we call it, elevates or levitates, you know. And that's a world I entered into when the music is so full of life, you know. We used to say, if you can't feel that, you're dead, because it's so full of life and the sense of joy and upliftment, and you're tapping your foot. You know, you go home, your foot hurt from tapping your foot. So that's the world I came up with. But mine, let me say that I appreciated the nuances of harmony when you heard the beautiful tones of players like Bill Evans and so on, you know. So I have so many stories I could share.
Well, one more question.
Please.
How do you pair up Eugene Wright and Bobby Durham?
All of these pairing ups are magic. I don't decide them. They come through circumstance. Bobby Durham, actually, I saw Bobby at the Half Note down at Spring Street where the beautiful family of the Cantarinos, they would treat me, give me a free spaghetti sandwich, a meatball sandwich. They had a very strong Italian legacy, and they hosted the best music. And that's where up behind the bar you would see, that's where Wes Montgomery made an album, Smoking at the Blue Note, with Wynton Kelly and Jimmy Cobb and Paul Chambers. Zoot Sims and Al Cohn, they'd be performing there, and I'd get up, I'd go sit in. I remember sitting in with Wes Montgomery. And Durham was there one night with all the guys that happened to have been in the Duke Ellington Orchestra, where they're hanging out. And Bobby got up and was playing, and we had already talked a few times, and you know, yeah, we were talking like this, hey man, what's happening, you know? And he could tell you a story, and he like said, I knocked that guy out because he said something to me I didn't like. You know, Bobby was a tough customer, and he was a boxer too. And Eugene had been already playing with me for a year or a couple of years, and I had the pleasure of a wonderful drummer named Ray Muska. He was playing with me. We used to go up to Rochester, New York at the Round Town Motel, and there was a real healthy jazz audience there, and they accepted Monty Alexander, and the people came. It was a free entrance, and they loved it. And the other pianists that would play there with Marion McPartland, Ray Bryant, Junior Mance, and we were playing there, and it was an ongoing, one after the other, piano players. And I was there. Sometimes it'd be a 6-week booking. Can you imagine? You're playing in a place for 6 weeks? Hard to believe. But we honed it while we were playing there, and these guys followed Monty up the hill, down the hill, going over there, wherever I went. And it's the evidence is on, especially on an album called We've Only Just Begun.
And that time in DC with Senator Eugene Wright was in the same time?
72, 73, 74. And it was just around that time I met, I had met the bass player John Clayton because of Ray Brown. He introduced me to this young man coming up who was very serious about his artistry with the bass. And indeed, John stayed in touch with me while he was at music school, sent me recordings, cassette tapes of the recital, and I was listening to it. But you know, I was a goofy guy running around living life, and I didn't stop to notice who was playing what. But I knew he was very competent and a nice person, and he excelled in the area of classical expertise while he was under the influence of Ray Brown, one of the great swingers of jazz that came from the legacy of Jimmy Blanton, who was with the Duke Ellington Orchestra. Today, ladies and gentlemen, I think I'm talking a mile a minute. I could go on, and I won't go into the dangerous things, but may I play another one of my Monty singing records? This is the thing I call Jasmine. When I was in my early teens, I smelled jasmine while I was walking down the street in Montego Bay. Wait a second. And I heard, it just got in my head when I heard these songs, and especially Nat Cole songs. And every now and then when I do a King Cole song, I say not King Cole, right? N-O-T. And people get a chuckle out of it, but I go into the song. And here's another one I heard Nat King Cole and Sinatra record, If We Have Day In, Day Out. Up the tempo, up it, please.
You mean up the volume?
Volume. Here she comes.
Wait. I love this. We're gonna have a thing of bloopers one day.
Bloopers are fine.
I'm gonna
We
hold
don't,
it up. Hold on. The blooper.
that big blooper, babe.
Wasn't it fun last week with the phone calls?
Yeah, but let's deal with this week.
Okay, here we go.
Starting from the get-go.
Here you go.
Hey. Day in, day out. Yeah.
Day in, day out,
Day out.
the same old hoodoo follows me about. The same old pounding in my heart whenever I think of you. And darling, I think of you. Day in, day out. Day in, day out. I needn't tell you how my days begin. When I awaken with a tingle. One possibility in view. That possibility of maybe seeing you. Come rain, sunshine. I meet you and to me the day is fine. Then I kiss your lips and the pounding becomes the ocean's roar, 1,000 drums. Can't you see it's love? Can there be any doubt when there it is day in, day out?
Yes, folks. Well, this has been another session of Monty Alexander's Big Mouth, or Reminiscing in Rhythm. It's been a pleasure reflecting on some fabulous times. A little bit about the warnings. We've started to publish the audio podcast of these live video streams. Episode number 1 is available on iTunes. So the idea is if you're driving around in the car, you can hear Monty's Big Mouth telling you all kinds of stuff, right? About the journey, which is still unfolding. Yes, and I told you certain things about the problems, the challenges, and what we need to stay away from. And the musicians are a whole different breed now. They're conscious of good health and forget about no, we don't do that anymore. So I'm proud to know that, and I'm a survivor. So I am I'm going to sign off right now and say bye y'all. See you next week hopefully, and you tell your friends, check out this crazy guy Monty telling you stuff, kind of real stuff, not school book stuff, real stuff. God bless. Thank you, Mr. Mandela.
1,000 drums. Can't you see it's love? Can there be any doubt when there it is day in, day out, day in, day out?